Great. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Amber Heinbockel, and I'm the Creative Director at Cantina. I'm looking forward to talking through some key approaches to creating a seamless, user-centered visual design that will help you create compelling, interactive experiences for your users. Let's jump on in. Creating a seamless, user-centered visual design isn't about aesthetics. It's about problem solving. Staying centered on what users need is the key to a beautiful visual experience. I think of user-centered visual design as a series of decisions based on two questions. What is the user's experience versus what is a creative opportunity? Let's take booking a hotel online, for example. A real problem is users are abandoning bookings at checkout because it takes 3 separate pages and experiences to complete a checkout. I recently had this exact experience while trying to book a hotel. The first page of this experience, on the far left, has a beautiful first impression for the visual design. It's engaging and it has visual targets that lead the user through different experiences that I might have within this hotel. However, it alienates a booking in the first few minutes of this experience because there's no way for a user to book a room right from the home page. Furthermore, once the user scrolls down, which is the second screen here, the top navigation transforms to reveal a sticky header. Finally, the user is able to make a booking. This is an experience that has opted to choose a visual experience before a greater user experience. After I entered the dates into this sticky top navigation, I was brought to this next view, the far one on the left. Now the design completely departs from its original direction. The user has to scroll down to find out rates or discover other nearby locations. Once a user picks a rate and a room, the user is then taken to yet another page. Once again, the visual experience breaks down into a completely new experience. By simply addressing the visual aesthetics on the home page, the design does not address the main goal of the website, to sell hotel rooms. In fact, the choppiness of the visual design and a disconnected user experience leads to brand mistrust and a customer drop-off. Let's draw on what we know about hotel users to make an informed user experience. Both the leisure and the business users go through 5 fundamental choices as they make a decision to book a hotel. They all find, research, decide, book, and then plan. By addressing these fundamental user needs, the process of shopping can give an experience that is both visually beautiful as well as a seamless checkout process. Here's an example of combining the original fundamental elements of the first design in creating a seamless user-centered visual design by simply allowing the users to find, research, decide, book, and plan all from one page. The design creates a brand continuity and a seamless user-centered visual experience. This can lead to a faster path to purchase, and ultimately, you're not trading a beautiful design for a poor user experience. In this approach, the design should be holistic. Learning how to code and design is part of being a great problem solver. The combination of designing in Photoshop, or whatever you choose to use, along with HTML and CSS is greater than the sum of their parts. Bringing both the visual development capabilities into the way you work creates a seamless transition between the way you design and how you think. Coding makes you think of technical capabilities that make a user's seamless experience because you understand how to develop enhanced interactions. By coding, your creative thinking is challenged by the way you approach a build. I'm not saying this means abandon your development team and become a one-man shop, or maybe you do, that's up to you. When it comes to a seamless user-centered design, being a creative who can code will help you communicate to your team so that you can give greater interactions to your users. Ultimately, learning how to code and design makes you a better communicator. Content, content, content. Create content first, or at least think about creating content first. You can't have a seamless, user-centered visual design without content. Digital media, websites, apps, and video all exist to deliver content. We design visual experiences because we want content to look great, to give users a pleasing experience, and to create a good impression of your treasured brands. When thinking about content, think about what you're really trying to say to your users and how that content will be used. Is the content meant to be flexible? Is it meant to purely deliver up-to-the-minute information? then the design on the left fits a CMS that can handle fluctuating content. Or is your content fixed and meant to support a story within imagery? The fixed content on the right has headlines and font choices reminiscent of a magazine to deliver a headline and story alongside of strong photography. Designing for the web is about understanding the types of content you are creating and how to best communicate that message to your users. It goes back to basic print principles. Knowing that content should be fixed, newspapers would fit content into varying grids to fit content onto a page, but the designs of the page were often light on imagery but heavy on information. Versus on the right, a magazine where the imagery and content both deliver an impression to the reader about what the article will be about. We can do the same communication online with our designs. Thinking about content first ensures the design and the content speak the same language. Content then informs your designs, and you can also save money. When designers leverage real content, they are not forced to work twice as hard to fit 20 lines of copy into a 4-line space. The design inherently adjusts for real copy. Micro-interactions. I highly recommend picking up this quick read from Dan Saffer. Micro-interactions, designing with details. Micro-interactions are contained product moments that resolve around a single use case. They have one task. Every time you change a setting, sync your data or your devices, set an alarm, pick a password, log in, set a message, favorite or like something, you are engaging with a micro-interaction. There are 4 fundamentals to implementing micro-interactions. Number 1, create a trigger point that initiates an interaction. For example, if you like something on Facebook, the thumb changes to a number. Establish a rule that determines how it functions. In my Facebook-like example, that interaction, that micro-interaction of the thumb changing from the up to a number is the rule that determines how it functions. Then feedback. Give a user feedback and let them know that the task has been updated. So in my example, that quick change from the thumb to the number is the example of giving the user quick feedback. And then finally, loop it. Extend that micro-interaction beyond one instance. Think about what changes the next time someone likes something, and what about the 1000th time? Ultimately, a seamless user-centered design is enhanced by micro-interactions. Microscopic attention to detail can really make an experience stand out from the crowd. Used sparingly, micro UX effects can help bring a touch of whimsy and delight to your users' experiences. Creative environments, live sketching, agile design, and rapid prototyping. Here at Cantina, our agile process, designers and developers work side by side. One of the main reasons for this is we each have common ground. The skill sets and aptitude for designers and UX designers have a significant overlap. Collaboration leads to a well-rounded, holistic approach to design. For example, UX designers concentrate on all the edge cases that shape a user's experience, while on the other hand, developers have to protect all of the details that could go wrong within a user's account to prevent bugs. Each is concentrated on the user's experience as a whole. Both teams must be able to find ways to innovate, combine, and tweak existing paradigms to fit new use cases. Collaboration between both teams leads to faster, effective, and more stable designs. So here we go. It's a new year, 2014, so I have some new trends to look out for. We're going to switch gears a bit and talk about user-centered design trends for 2014. The first one here is flat design, and Apple may have added fuel to the fire with their move away from skeuomorphism and their introduction to iOS 7, but flat design is here to stay. With easy-to-read text and flat icons, flat design will continue to be a huge trend for 2014. Type, fonts with personality. Fonts with personality are fonts that feel like they can stand on their own. They are not your standard serif or sans serif fonts like Helvetica or Times. Designers now are starting to find different fonts to add to their arsenal to add a little personality and uniqueness to their designs. Video. Say everything you need about your product within a short video. People love to watch videos, and most importantly, they love to share videos online with social media. Within the span of 3 minutes, you can show what your product does, how it helps your customers, and ask them to get involved. Video is here to stay, and with responsive design, as well as HTML5, video is an ever-present element on all devices. And then finally, this is a trend, unfortunately, but it's a design crime against user experience. It's a little case of deja vu from the Flash days, but just because you have HTML5 and know how to animate things doesn't mean you should. If your sexy new website starts off with a 1-minute wait for all of your animations to load, then you're doing it wrong. No matter how slick your please wait loading icon is, waiting always sucks. Designing for performance will always keep your users happy. So in conclusion, I have a few takeaways here. The first one is seamless user-centered design is about problem solving. Write content early. Sites exist to deliver content, so get writing already. Micro interactions are really fun and useful, and developers are designers too. And finally, 2014 will be a great year for design, but don't forget to design for performance. A little bit about who we are here at Cantina. We're a digital agency that plans, designs, builds, and connected experience and product innovations here in Boston, Massachusetts. And thank you very much. If you have any questions, please contact me at Amber@Cantina or at Twitter at AmberCantinaCo.
Amber, we did have a couple of questions come in. Someone was asking about video and how we work video production into the production process.
Sure, that's a great question. I think it goes back to content. So just like we design content for websites and making sure that we have a strong outline, I think content for videos and being able to plan that out ahead of time is one of the key best practices in order to make quick videos that really answer your product's key pain points.
And also there's a question about collaboration.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how getting different teams together in the same room and collaborating works?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. Here at Cantina, we actually have an open floor plan space where literally one day I can be sitting next to a designer and the next day I can be sitting next to a developer. And that's, of course, when we're working on independent projects. But what that does is it encourages us all to talk, get to know each other, work on different ways of thinking through UX problems. And then when we're working on a particular client, for example, we tend to have these, I like to call them war room setups. So we literally get into a room and then we get a whiteboard and we all sit around, designers and developers, and then we just start sketching on the whiteboard and really trying to communicate back and forth what would be the best user experience. In that previous slide where I talk about how designers and developers think of UX problems from two different experiences, having developers in the room through those UX sessions can really add some incredible insight that I, as a UX front-end designer and developer, don't always think about from the back-end approach. So I think it's great to have both designers and developers collaborating in one space. And if you can even have it in one room where you're whiteboarding and really talking and actively drawing and collaborating together, you come up with some really incredible user experience results.
We have a question in from Sam Moore. How do you initiate a conversation with a client about the value of starting with content?
Hi, Sam. This is always the #1 problem we have with clients, too, because it's the most painful problem. Nobody likes to write content. Everybody likes to see pretty pictures. I think showing the value of being able to design for real content is one of the best ways to really get clients on board with doing beautiful design. So maybe we start with a page that isn't such a troubling one. For example, clients often know what their contact page will be like. And if they start with that content, their address, phone number, the basics, the form filling, you can often get them to engage with content early, and then you can start to design a beautiful visual experience that complements that design. Now, it might sound silly to start with something like the contact page, but what it is it's a conversation starter that gets them thinking about easy content that's real, that they can start writing today, that can have an impact on really beautiful design.
Well, unless anyone else has more questions, I think we're at the end.
Great.
I'd like to thank everyone for attending our webinar. We have another one coming up next month in our series. It's going to be with Connor Sheehan, one of our e-commerce specialists. He's going to be doing an e-commerce webinar, and he's going to be doing some research in the meantime. So I'll send you along a link to the research question. And thank you for attending.
Thanks, everyone.